Audi have done it. They've announced the all-new Audi R8 GT. It's been 10 years since the last of the GTs were made in the form of the Spider like the one behind me, but when you look at the details, is it really worthy of the GT badge? Let's get into it. In 2011, Audi made 333 of the R8 GT Coupe. These were so well received that in 2012, they made 333 of the Spider, like this one. For years, there's been speculation as to whether the GT will return in the form of a Mark II. And it would seem that's what Audi has announced. But has it really returned? So let's start with the specs of the new GT. The new GT actually is based on the rear-wheel drive version of the R8, which typically comes with less power, 570 horsepower to be specific. However, in the GT badged rear-wheel drive, it has 620 PS or 611 horsepower, which is the same as the Quattro equivalent. It delivers 0 to 60 in around 3.4 seconds, which is a few tenths faster than the rear-wheel drive, but a few tenths slower than the Quattro edition. Despite being lighter, I'm guessing most of that comes down to the weight helping to press the tyres onto the ground, the all-wheel drive system, getting it off the line, etc. However, the most disappointing thing is that it has a sub 200 mile/hour top speed, only 199 miles per hour, compared to the rear-wheel drive performance, which has 204 miles per hour, and the R8 Performance Quattro, which achieves 205.7 miles per hour. And in the information released by Audi, it explains that much of the improved acceleration over the rear-wheel drive performance has actually been achieved with shorter gear ratios, which I imagine, along with some additional aero, is part of the cause for this sub 200 mile/hour top speed. But for me, that's a little bit of a mistake, because on paper, you'd think the last hurrah that says goodbye to the V10 in the R8 forever, so they say, would at least be up there with the other two, and given its lighter weight and more power than the rear-wheel drive, would come somewhere between the rear-wheel drive and the Quattro. I would imagine that at least a 200 mile/hour top speed would have been a good idea, if nothing else, just for the stats on paper. Now, of course, the original GT was optimized for the experience on track. It took the reputation of being the daily drivable supercar, threw it out the window, and replaced that with being a super dynamic, hardcore track machine. So maybe the new GT has had a whole raft of changes in order to make it do the same. So what have they changed about the car that would affect the driving dynamics? Let's take a look. Now, Audi say it comes with a new 7-speed dual clutch gearbox, which I think probably means that they've just got the shorter ratios in it. And they have a new torque rear driving mode, which is essentially a multi-step stability control program that allows you to either dial up the stability control or turn it down progressively. It has lightweight forged alloy wheels, which Audi say are inspired from its motorsport program. Carbon ceramic brakes are standard, as per the original, and R8 bucket seats, which kind of look like the standard R8 bucket seats. And that was something that was at least unique to the old GTs. They came with their own specific bucket seats, which frankly are fantastic for when you're on the track or spirited driving, but on a long drive, they can be a little bit uncomfortable. As standard, it comes with the Performance Sport suspension, and there are carbon fiber anti-roll bars front and rear. An adjustable coilover system is also available as an option. Now, the original GT actually came with the adjustable coilovers as standard. The new GT also boasts a weight reduction over the rear-wheel drive car that it's based on, by only a token amount though, around 20 kilograms, which is a shame because the weight reduction and how it was achieved is what made the original GT so special. The chassis was substantially different. It had cutouts to reduce weight. The engine frame was replaced with one made from magnesium. The clamshell bonnet was thinner. The windscreen was thinner. Various parts of the car that weren't normally carbon fiber were made in carbon fiber, all adding up to 100 kilograms of weight reduction in the Coupe of 2011 and 85 kilograms of weight reduction in the Spider of 2012. And in the case of the Spider, not only did they take a lot of weight away, they actually also added strengthening to make the chassis much stiffer and for it to respond much more like a coupe in terms of its on-track handling. And the result was a car that drove completely different to the standard R8 of the time. It was no longer a daily drivable supercar. It was that super raw, dynamic kind of car that just, the idea of daily driving it really is only for crazy people like me who actually want that experience where it feels like you're going fast even when you're going slow. We actually want it to always feel like it's on the edge and just wants to go. But you get the point. Everything was considerably uprated and made more dynamic and more driving focused. Even the engine was the most powerful engine that had been in an R8 up to that point. So I think you're getting the idea. I'm a little disappointed in the new GT badged R8. And that's especially true when you take account of the fact that the price point for this, certainly in the German market, is going to be 225,000 euros or 195,000 pounds, or I think 230,000 US dollars, which when you adjust for inflation is about the same as what you would have paid for one of the original GTs. Now there's another R8 that comes to mind when I look at the specs of the new GT. The Performance Parts Edition. So back in 2018, Audi released the Performance Parts Edition, a limited run of cars which were fitted with the best of all the Audi Sport performance parts that you could possibly get, all fully spec'd and built at the factory. This is what many people would call a parts bin special, when the manufacturer raids the parts bin and creates a vehicle that has all the top spec parts fitted to it at factory. And this seems to be par for the course with the release of the Audi TT RS Iconic Edition, which again seems to be just another parts bin special. And when you take account of the fact that the suspension, the front and rear anti-roll bars, and all of the aero parts, the wing, diffuser, side skirts, canard, splitter, these are all things that you can actually get from an Audi Sport dealer. I mean, what, if anything, is unique to these 333 cars that they're going to build? Gear ratios aside, essentially just the GT badging and a numbered plaque, which to me doesn't look as special as the embossed gear lever. It just looks like it's kind of printed on some carbon fiber. So does this make it essentially a plaques and stripes parts bin special? Honestly, in my opinion, yes, it does. It genuinely lacks the specialness, the uniqueness that each of those 333 coupes and 333 Spiders had in 2011 and 2012. You can literally buy all the parts, get yourself a Quattro Performance, rear-wheel drive convert it, fit all the parts, and you've essentially got the GT. On the old one, it was so different, that was just not possible. The space frame chassis changes and the engine frame alone would have meant you'd have to literally strip the entire car apart and build an entirely new car again, which would just not be necessary with this current car. And this is where we get to the clever marketing, because Audi have essentially included a clever caveat. This is not branded as the R8 GT, as the originals were. It is branded as the Audi R8 V10 GT rear-wheel drive. And in Audi's own words, its new and exclusive exterior and interior features pay homage to the original GT. So it's not really a Mark II GT, it's more of a Mark II rear-wheel drive performance parts edition with some GT badging. It's GT inspired, but not quite the real deal. And despite all this, I have no doubt that with only 333 cars, they will sell out all of them. Either way, I think putting the GT badging on this new car was not the way to go. If you were gonna make a GT, make a GT. If anything, I suppose that makes Audi a victim of its own success. It did too good a job the first time around, which meant that in order to earn that badge, it really needed to do something that was at least as good, at least as special. And when I was talking with my son about this last night, and believe me, he's an even bigger fan of these cars than I am, he said that if they were going to do something really special, why not take inspiration from the GT2 race car and build a road legal version of that? And just like the race car, go all out. Actually do what they did for the GT2 race car. Take a Spider, convert it into a coupe in order to change the roof profile for better aerodynamics and allowing them to more easily add a roof scoop, stick all of the other aero on it, and then it would be truly special. And if they did that, I guarantee you that even if it didn't quite live up to all of the things that made the original GT unique, it would have brought something new and fresh to the party. And if that isn't viable, then just leave the GT badge where it is. It's like that sequel that was never quite as good as the original movie. So no, I don't think it's done enough to earn the GT badge, which leaves me feeling disappointed, which is a real shame because actually, on paper, this looks like it's going to be an incredible car. Probably one of the best rear-wheel drive additions ever made. So for me, possibly for other GT owners like me, the positive takeaway is we still own the best R8 ever made.
R8 GT, best R8 ever made.
Yeah, full stop.
Yep.
End of story.
Yep.
Even the Spider.
Yep.
And if you want to know why that's the case, you need to watch this video here.